Thank you for joining us today in the studio with Dean Rick Fountain. We have Captain Keith Hoskins, retired U.S. Navy. He is currently the Executive Vice President of Branch Operations for Navy Federal Credit Union, and prior to Navy Federal, he was with Gulf Power. Keith served 27 distinguished years in the United States Navy, and 2 of his many assignments during his naval career included serving as a F-18 pilot on the Blue Angels flight demonstration team. He also was commanding officer for Naval Air Station in Pensacola, where he provided leadership and oversight for over 25,000 military and civilian personnel. Under Keith's leadership in 2015, President Barack Obama awarded NAS Pensacola the Commander-in-Chief's Installation Excellence Award. Welcome to the studio. Boy, Welcome to Leader. We are so happy to have in the studio a superstar, both Blue Angel, and you'll have to give me your exact title on that because I don't have that in front of me. And currently, as I understand, congratulations are in order for a new position with Navy Federal Credit Union. What is the exact title now that you're holding?
Yeah, Allie, thanks so much for having me. And my new title will be the Executive Vice President of Branch Operations for Navy Federal Credit Union.
That is just amazing. First of all, that's stellar. Our local community here in Pensacola is so honored to have you, first of all. And second of all, how many branches? I'm just curious when you say that.
Yes, we have 344 branches worldwide.
That is global. That is phenomenal. And again, congratulations. A little bit about your background, and I'm interested in, we know you as, again, this stellar rock star that is Blue Angels. So tell us a little bit about leadership, your background, how you came to be, because right now you're in private industry. How did that lead up? What do you think, as a leader, your background brings you to today? If you could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, Allie, that's a great question. And, whenever I get that question, I always think back to how I was raised as a young child. My father served in the United States Army a total of 39 years, 28 years active duty. He talked a lot about leadership to all of us children growing up. I had the opportunity to participate in team sports. I also had the opportunity when I was 13 years old, I joined an organization called the Civil Air Patrol, which is an auxiliary of the United States Air Force. And I had the opportunity to actually read about leadership. We were actually tested on leadership to advance to the next rank. And I always remember my readings and what I would call my practicums at home or on the football field as a very, very young child, just learning about leadership and understanding what leadership is all about as a young child. I think was important, how people rely on you, how you have to serve people, how you have to carry yourself, and how you had to be a model team player. That's what I think really built the foundation to grow me into the leader that I am today, which helps me with my philosophies and my day-to-day way in which I interact with people. And then, obviously that went right perfectly into my military service. I joined the military after college. To me, I just learned along the way. I never had it perfect, but I'm always a student of leadership. And that's what I always implore folks. You have good leaders, you have bad leaders. We learn from all of them. And I'm still learning to this day. And I always will. But, just growing up as a child with a father in the military, joining the military, has really supported my development as a leader.
Can I ask, Keith, what's coming to my mind is you kind of skipped over a little bit about college football. And I'm wondering about, I know that team sports are important. How do we thread through, because not everybody's going to get to the level of playing sports in college, but how important do you think that being involved, when you were saying you were 13 going through some of those pivotal years, if you will, just personally, because we also have, Rick is a huge football person himself and really attests a lot to team sports and coming into leadership. Can you talk a little bit about now reflecting back to your college days, because college days to you means probably something different than other people. How do you think that learning about and applying the team sport to college football blends in now?
When you start playing college football, you walk on the field or you walk into that locker room, that weight room, the very first time as a young freshman, you realize this is a really big deal. And I remember when I went to college, and I remember when I started practicing, on the team, it was a really big deal. And I looked at the upperclassmen and I saw their dedication and I saw how they had to model for the underclassmen that were on the team because, there's this aura about football or athletes. But I can tell you at Missouri Western State University, where I went to college, our coaches were very strict. We had to go to class. You had to work hard every single day because we built this culture of you're your brother's keeper. And we had to rely on each other. The upperclassmen had to be good role models. The underclassmen had to quickly grasp the concept is that this team's success is not only on the upperclassmen, it's on the very brand new freshmen and sophomores that were starting to play on that team. It was a total team effort, and everybody had a responsibility every single Saturday for us to win. And it really taught me a lot about dedication. It really taught me a lot about being a model leader. I mean, for instance, it's Wednesday, and you got to go to practice, and you're tired. And, if you're going to be that leader or that captain on the football team, and it's after practice and you got to line up for wind sprints, you can't be the football player that says, I can't believe we're doing this and shaking your head. No, you got to be the first one on the line. You got to get people fired up. And you got to get out there and you got to run 100% every single wind sprint. And you got to be a model. That's leadership. Because, today, business world, society, there are times when we have to face something that looks like an uphill mountain. But as a leader, you got to get out in front. You got to lead your men and women. You got to lead your team to success. And football really, really taught me that when you're down and you're tired, you got to keep fighting because whatever you're fighting for, it's bigger than you. It's bigger than you.
Yeah, a great quote right there. And also what I'm thinking, Keith, now I study organizations, right? Organizational culture. We love all the buzz things that are going on with it and looking at it. But really what I just attached was mentoring, modeling and mentoring. And I guess I didn't look at it and having conversations with Rick about team sports and football is really, it's now modeling, as you said, that for later on to be leaders in industry, that we create mentors. And it just continues and continues and continues. So I'm going to put you totally on the spot right now. Who are your favorite leaders that you would say were either formal or informal mentors?
That's a great question. I probably have several.
Okay.
I can tell you that when I was in the military, I had Greg Nosal is his name. He's a retired admiral. When I first met Admiral Nosal, he was the lieutenant commander on my first fleet squadron. And he was definitely a leader that I looked up to. And he didn't realize how much he mentored me and shaped who I am today. And I'll never forget a quote that he told me very early on in my tour. He told me, never turn down the opportunity to lead. And I still live by that today. No matter what is given to you by your seniors in terms of responsibility, job responsibilities, or a task or a project, never turn down the opportunity because somebody trusts in you and somebody believes in you. He really shaped me in that form. So Greg Nosal always will be a informal mentor. And I hope that he gets to hear this at some point in time because he really made a difference in my life. Also I have a very close friend of mine. His name is Pete Matasu. Pete Matasu, he is a retired captain, good friend of mine. He was a commanding officer when I was an executive officer of my fleet squadron. And, when you think about what I would call a well-rounded 360-degree person, his leadership, his faith, being a father, being a husband, he was just an amazing person that I learned so much from about myself personally and professionally. And he still mentors me to this day. I still stay in touch with him, but he probably doesn't know the truly that he's had on my life.
And I think that we have so many informal mentors that it really makes us. But then we are also mentors to people, especially, I'll tell you, in education, that sometimes we'll never know. We'll never know the impact. And so that is really important in leadership to remember that. And also, you mentioned something about, doing the wind sprints, probably when you didn't want to do the wind sprints, and putting that forward. I kind of think of that way right now with COVID. Everybody's tired. We were talking about that, and we're going to talk actually in the Dean's Corner about that on Monday. So as a leader, what are your thoughts on maintaining a way forward right now when a lot of employees are tired from working from home? We want to be with each other. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important to continually talk about your mission, whatever your mission is with your company. Here at Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission, and we're very focused around our members. I mean, everything we do is very member-centric. If it's our frontline employees or our back office employees, if it's developing our strategies moving forward, it's all about our members. And I think it's important at times when, particularly now when folks are tired, is to, number one, remind them of the mission. And we still need to be in pursuit of that mission. Number two, you have to ask yourself, how are we being flexible and giving as a company in terms of our employees? Because now provides us an opportunity to reimagine our workforce. Most of our workforce is obviously working remotely now. As we look at the near term and into the future, how do we build out resiliency in our workforce so that we can maintain that focus on our mission of taking care of our members? And I think that's important. When you look at the flexibility of schedules, and you look at the flexibility of place where people work, if it's at home or if it's in the office, how do we integrate work-life balance as part of our culture here at Navy Federal Credit Union? I think is important as well. We always pride ourselves here as, Navy Federal Credit Union is it's a place that you can be proud to work, but our mission is to make a difference, obviously, in our members' lives and their families. But we also want to make sure that folks understand that there's a career here, and we want people to love what they do and who they do it for. And I think so, again, circling back to that mission of our members, building out that culture and that resiliency and the flexibility to re-energize our team, I think is critically important. So I can tell you as a leader, that's something I'm focused on right now.
Yeah. And I think all leaders are at this point, and you're right to remind us to go back to our mission. I think that's really a good reminder at this time and place and space that we're in. So I want to talk a little bit about Blue Angels, just a little bit. How did you get there, Keith? I hear you talk, I've seen you locally, but I'm interested, what was that drive to get there? And obviously that in itself is a whole lot of information as far as leadership, but what are your key takeaways, would you say, at that time of your life?
Yeah, well, it was a dream of mine ever since I was 5 years old. I told my dad when I was 5 I wanted to be a Blue Angel after we went to an air show. And his advice was stay out of trouble and stay in school. So that was the only two pieces of advice he gave me. And lo and behold, when I joined the Navy back in 1989, that dream started to become more of a reality. So, my path to get to the Blue Angels, you have to accumulate so many hours. You have to complete a fleet tour, being operational on an aircraft carrier. And then I went to a squadron and was an instructor pilot. And that's when I put my application in for the Blue Angels. And the term that Blue Angels uses, you rush the team, kind of like a fraternity or sorority. So I went to a few shows, got to meet the team, and got picked as a finalist, and then obviously got selected as a Blue Angel. And I can tell you that when I very first started with the Blue Angels, you can read in their programs, and you go to their air shows and listen to the narrator, and they talk about the pride and the professionalism and the excellence of the Blue Angels. And you think, okay, well, that's great. That's a great catchy line. But when you actually join the team and you get inside the room and in the briefs and the debriefs, and you get around the men and women that wear that uniform, the enlisted that take care of the aircraft, they are fantastic. The officers that fly the aircraft or do some of the other functions as a ground officer, you see that that's really how they live. They live it. They just don't say it. They live it. And I had to up my game.
when I became a Blue Angel. That's how precise that organization is as it relates to pride and professionalism and excellence. And learned a lot about myself, a lot about my weaknesses and my strengths, and how to improve and how to get better as an officer, as a pilot, as the face of the United States Naval Service.
Thank you for that, because it is amazing. And there's, an internal drive. What I hear you say, even when you get to where I think is the top, right? You're saying, well, wait a minute. When you're surrounded by people like-minded that have that same drive, it pushes you to be a better person, and you have to do a self-reflection to get better and to get ahead. And to me, that's leadership at its best, which is where you just want to be better for yourself, because when you're better yourself, then you're giving back to your teammates in that leadership, if I have that right.
Absolutely. And, I always like to joke about the fact that when the Blue Angels do a show, the crowd watches the show and they're like, that show was perfect. That was great. But when you get into the debrief and you start watching the video, you see that it was far from perfect. And that's what I love, is every single show, there was something that you had to work on afterwards. There were errors that you had to work on. You're constantly working to be better, never satisfied. And I think about some of the leaders that I've worked for that push you and push you and push you because they're never satisfied. It's because at the end of the day, if you really think about it, they see something in you. And there's a reason why they're pushing you to be better. It took me a while to figure that out. Blue Angels, you can be better, and you're never perfect. And you have to push yourself every single day to get better, every day.
And Rick, please interject. But for me, it's almost like figuring out what you like and where you want to go, and then say, okay, maybe I don't like this, and maybe I'm not good at this, and so I'm not going to do that, but I'm really, really going to get good at this and this and this, and that will lead to my next. And I love that you just said that about people pushing you because they see something in you. And I think that's also a really good sign of a good leader. They may be pushing you in a way outside of what you think is your talents. They may see something else. And so I think that's just a reminder out there for all leaders to say, listen, if you see something, help hone that in somebody else. I think that's really
Absolutely.
good.